Yay. Got it.
Thank you, Jim. If you want to start over, we can start right from the beginning again.
Thank you, Misty. My name is Jim Howard. I'm the director of the Provider Network of Northwest Florida. We've been a social worker for the last 25 plus years. Earlier in my career, I had the great opportunity of working with Family Network on disabilities and meeting Misty. FND has a tremendous amount of resources for all sorts of caregivers, family members, you name it, on families with disabilities. So I knew they had a lot of different resources. We've been trying to find ways to help providers working in the field with our population of people with disabilities. And one of the feedbacks that we had was problems with our caregivers being able to use applications or being with the computer world. So we reached out to Misty at Family Network on Disabilities and going, hey, I know there's lots of different apps and lots of different ways that were developed for people with disabilities. What can we do to help our providers in the field, as well as our other caregivers, our senior caregiver population? And Misty has come up with this great presentation and allowed us to get on and share it with everyone else. So I know she's got a lot of great stuff, and I want to say thank you. Thank you for her being here.
Thank you so much, Jim. I appreciate you reaching out and asking. I haven't been able to work with you in a long time, and it's really nice to be able to collaborate again and to bring some information to everybody that's joining us today. And I just want to say thank you for joining us. As Jim shared, my name is Misty Polero, and I work with an agency called Family Network on Disabilities. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I encourage, if you would want to ask questions in the chat area, Jim, if you can maybe monitor that. And if there's a question, you can let me know. I encourage asking questions. All of the information, I will do a follow-up after our workshop today. I'm going to request everybody, if you don't mind, filling out an evaluation. It's how my federal program gets funded. And if that evaluation is filled out, I'm going to send you all out a wonderful list of some great resources that I'm hoping are going to help you all out. So first, I'm a mom and a person with varying abilities. I live in Pinellas County. I moved here 12 years ago, and I'm lucky enough to work for a nonprofit 501c3 that is located in Pinellas County. We're going to be going into our 38th year this coming year, Jim. Can you imagine? 38 years.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is. We started off as a parent support group through NICU with our executive director, who's still our executive director, and his son, who is now the director of programs, why the program got started to begin with. So it's through NICU, actually. But we run through federal grants. So right now I'm showing just our website. Our website is translatable in multiple different languages. We have some great resources here. My agency serves families typically from birth to 26 years of age for free under federal grant dollars under the Department of Education Office of Special Education Programs. So that's how we are able to serve our families throughout the state of Florida, from the Panhandle down to the Keys, from birth to 26. And in order to be a parent training coordinator like myself, you have to be just that, a parent, person, or a caregiver. And I'm all of those. As I shared when we first started, I have lived with my entire life with ADHD combined. So if I speak too fast, or if I need to repeat something, do not hesitate to raise your hand or put it into the chat area. Don't feel bad to ask me. I don't get offended. It's me. I've also raised 3 young men with varying abilities. We have ABC soup in my house, from autism to mental illness to learning disabilities. We've had in our home special education. I have one son that is currently on the APD, the Agency for Persons with Disabilities Med Waiver waitlist. So I help families navigate. Really, my passion is that adulthood, transitioning into adulthood. I've been living in transition in my home for 15 years with my boys. My oldest is 30. My youngest just turned 18. My middle son, with more significant delays, is going to be 21 this year. Yeah, I know. And now I'm a caregiver to mom.
Wow.
So, I'm bringing that. I'm learning how to advocate now for my mother, who is 76 last week, has significant medical needs, oxygen dependent, also early stages of dementia. So now I'm learning that piece of the world, Jim, so that's
I'm there with you.
Yeah, I know you are. And, that's a lot as a person with ADHD combined, and my executive functioning is non-existent. So organization, tools, strategies, things to help me kind of like stay a little, together.
Oh, yeah.
So when you reached out, I was really happy to have this topic and talk about this because, I'm living in it. And if you have something to share who's joining us today that maybe that I don't bring up, share it in the chat area. Let us know some strategies and tools that you might be using, because this is being recorded. And if you don't, if you want to share your voice, let me know. I'm happy to have you unmute yourself and be engaged in this conversation if you like.
We also want to add that the website, of course, FND has been doing this for over 30 years. And so your website has a tremendous amount of resources. Of course, the base age is from birth to 26, I believe you said. But as we know, sometimes our people with disabilities, physical age is not necessarily the mental age. So there's tons of different resources for providers, teachers, family members there that the more you search, the more you click, the more resources that you can find. I'm a support coordinator in Northwest Florida, so sometimes we have to find different types of resources. And I really love the new design of the website, and I'm glad it's there.
Thank you, Jim. And, that is one thing that I did want to point out, and thank you, that we turn nobody away from when it comes to resources. I started off at this organization as the administrative assistant for all the programs statewide. So I know, there are a lot of resources. Being a mom, when I first started, I had no clue what was out there in our community. I moved down from another state. It was a new transition for me. So FND really taught me that there's, we go above and beyond, because that's our life. And if we can bring that support to somebody, that one person, you never know. So these are the three programs that we serve. This is for special education specifically. So those families that you might be serving, or have somebody maybe as a family member yourself that are up to age 22, birth to 22. These are the federal programs. Pop-in serves the Panhandle. PSN, Parent Support Network, is my program, Central Florida. Then we have Penn. They serve the South Florida counties. 38 years. Pop-in and Penn will be serving next year our families.
Wow. It's a long time.
I know. Nobody knows. And that's why I'm so happy when persons like you who are starting this support, bring people like me to things like this to share, because it's free. We're free.
Now, I did see Family Star pop up there. You want to tell us just a little bit about Family Star and what they do?
Family Star serves our entire state. Again, federally funded from birth to 26, but we don't stop at 26 for those families that have significant medical needs. So navigating Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, healthcare plans. Some of our kiddos from, 18 to 22 might be accessing extended transition. So we might need to have medical healthcare plans to support their needs during the day. Also mental health, those resources and supports that serve those youth and adults with mental health needs. We also have a trust that serves the entire United States for those that have those trust needs, whether it's individualized or pool trust. That is a national trust. We also have a scholarship for young adults, youth advocacy, and a dad's program. So that's all the programs that we serve as FND. But we have a chat. Oh, thank you. That was you, Jim. I apologize. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment because I wanted to see if anybody wanted to ask any questions before I move forward with the technology piece. Okay. Jim, I went ahead and saved my information on a sticky note because, as we know, a lot of times too many tabs open can interfere with our access, and I didn't want us to have any trouble with internet access today. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the first part, and I'm going to show a few visuals, but I'm also going to bring up some websites that are great tools that I think are serve persons that serve our families really might not even know about yet.
Okay, great.
And I'm
Hit
just
the
having
wrong button.
spinning, opening it up. So if you wanted something to say, go right ahead.
I hit the wrong button. Oh, there. Well, one of the reasons why we asked was a lot of our providers out there are getting up in years, and they're really struggling with this transition. The whole state of Florida has transitioned over to, instead of the paper and pencil and killing more trees with lots of paper, now we have to start documenting electronically. And a lot of our caregivers are just really struggling with that transition. You know, like myself, they're kind of hard to see, and so that's what we were hoping we can look at and explore.
I have some great little tools that I utilize as a person approaching an age myself, and again, who struggles with organization because of my executive functioning. And as a requirement of this position, I have to do most of my position is now electronic, and I am a paper pen person. I have notebooks everywhere, and I still have my notebooks from when I first started from my first day. So I'm one of those people. So I would love to share about those strategies and tools that I utilize, and also some of those things that maybe some of those other professionals and persons that I work with use. Google is a big one. If you do not have a Google account, I suggest starting a free Google account, because Google has a lot of great extensions that are free to be able to help us work a little bit easier, save a little bit of time. Such as for myself, I struggle sometimes with documenting when it comes to a lot of information. So I utilize speak to text, and I utilize documents inside the Google Drive. So there's a lot of that. And what I can utilize right now is share my screen if you like, and I can show everybody examples such as a Google Drive, what it looks like, so people could see and have that visual if you like.
Yeah, and also the speech to text would probably be a big one.
And it's not letting me minimize my screen, so no worries. So what I'm going to do, oh, that's okay. I was able to bring it up in the background, so no worries. So what I'm going to do, first of all, Jim, is just sign out really quickly of my work account to sign into a sample account that I utilize, okay?
Just trying to figure out how to get rid of the chat box. There we go, pop out.
Were you able to do that? Awesome.
Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Another account. So I'm going to go ahead, and I work with a group called Speak Up Manatee. And let's see about bringing them up, because I think that it would be great to be able to access. I apologize.
You're fine. See, even though we know technology, sometimes we have trouble with technology too.
Yeah, it's not. I'm just going to bring mine up. I'm not going to even worry about it.
Okay.
I apologize, everybody. I'll just bring mine up, and that's okay. Mine's up already. I'm going to share screen. So I'm just going to start off at the typical Google. So everybody can see a visual of when, if you don't have one, how would we start off creating that then? Okay.
Okay, great.
All right. First, you would go to your web browser, and I encourage people to use Chrome web browser because it's compatible with Google extensions. So you can actually save those extensions will be saved right on to your web browser for you. Okay. So it kind of gives us a one place where we can access everything. So
I like Google a lot. I used it for my web browser. We create a business account from it. It's got a lot of great tools.
It really, really does, Jim. And you can use the same apps on your cell phone. So when you're at a person's home, if you're not able to access internet through Wi-Fi, but you have it through your cell phone server, you could take photos of things and documents and upload them directly into. So that's what we're going to actually talk about, because that's where, you know, our organization goes. And these are things that you can access electronically anywhere in a drive.
Now, let me point out something real quick here on Google. Anytime you're using Google, if you see this little microphone here,
right here
in this Dropbox, correct, you can actually click that and then talk and tell Google what you're looking for, and you don't have to type it in. You can actually talk it in and instead of typing it in.
I love that. And you can utilize that also on your cell phone in your Google search. And I put Google search on my cell phone top as well. So it's quick accessible. So you're right. I love that. And it's very easy because I utilize speech to text a lot of times. Sometimes it doesn't understand me, and that's okay because it gives me options to choose from. So that's what I like about it as well, because sometimes if we're working with persons that might have still struggle with speech, that it does give us, so it gives us many different options. Also, Google gives us an easy translate. I utilize this a lot when I work with persons who English is not their first language. I'm able to work with a family right now that first language is Chinese. And it's a free extension on here for Translate, Google Translate. Is it 100% accurate all the time? No. Sometimes it makes us both laugh, but it's usable.
It gets you there, doesn't it?
Exactly. So I would encourage, if you're not utilizing Google and getting a Google email, I would do that right off the bat. Start off with getting a Google email, because that's how you're going to log in all the time when you want. So initially, I'm going to sign out so you can see what it's going to be like when you sign in. Initially, when you get a Google email, when you go to Google, it'll ask you to sign in. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in. I already have a Google email attached. I have a free Google Workspace account. So that's what I'm going to do. Of course, it's going to ask you to verify who you are. Oh, and of course, Misty. There we go. And this is all on the desktop, the way I'm showing it now. It will be a little different when you're navigating it from your cell phone, but not very much different, because you can access Google account through your web browser on your cell phone as well, or through a Google app. So you can either download a Google app. I'm going to get there. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I'm saying you can utilize this on the web browser, either on a cell phone or on a desktop. Either way, we're doing web browser version now. Is that okay, Jim?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Is there a question, Jim?
I was looking for the tool up at the top to see for our seeing impaired, like myself and his bifocals, if there was a way to enlarge that without going into your desktop.
So that would probably be an extension that we would want to create, Jim.
Okay.
Yep. And that's where we're going to show right now. So right now I logged in. So what's great is you'll see my little, I'm going to expand this so persons right now would be able to see. Jim, let me know if it's more visible.
Yep, you're good.
Okay. So when you first log in on a desktop, you on the right-hand corner, you will see an image won't be there right away. You can upload an image. That's it all in your settings and things like that. But right at first, you'll see a circle in the right-hand corner. That'll give you your Google account. That's where you can click into to go in and manage your Google account. That's where you can upload a new picture for yourself, whether it's a logo, a picture of your dog or your favorite animal, a grandchild, yourself, whatever you want, or nothing. You don't have to put anything either.
Yeah, mine just shows a J for Jim.
Exactly. And that's what the default is, I believe. It will default to your initial. That's also where you can sign out or sign into another account. You have images where you can search for images, and you have your Gmail right here. So the three main things that you're going to want, four main tabs, are in your right-hand corner. What's great is this little waffle. All right, there's a little waffle right here. And when you click on that waffle, that is all different apps, different tools that we can utilize for free through the Google account. Some are automatically here in mine. I'm going to go ahead and make the screen a little bit smaller so then we can see.
I do want to point out that the Google Slides is very similar to a PowerPoint application.
Say, yes. Google's similar to Microsoft, Jim. Thank you.
And the other one was, the spreadsheet is very similar to an Excel type thing.
This is Docs. This is where I do to take my family notes that I work with. So as a provider for families with children with disabilities, I need to document whenever I work with a family. I utilize the documents, and that's where I can utilize speak to text. You don't have to type it all in, or you can utilize your keyboard. You can do either or, and that's all tools that are built right in. So these, go ahead, Jim.
Can you pull up a document and show us how to?
Without, yeah.
That magical microphone pops up
first, but yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. So this is Google Documents. Okay. Of course, you can see you'll see in a moment, I have some in there already, but they have some templates that you can utilize, notes, book reports, essays, but you can start with a blank template. And that's what I would typically start with, a blank template. Also, if you have any persons that you're serving that have disabilities, they might have utilized this in their IEP at school. I know my son utilized this as an alternate type of communication when it came to assignments, Jim.
Right.
Writing too much, he wasn't able to. Some people aren't able to. So we utilize this a lot. So here's a document, what it would look like, very similar to Microsoft Word. And what's great is,
it does have spell check too, which is nice.
It's got all these great extensions and tools, and that's where we would go tool. We're going to go speak to text. Translate. We get notifications on here. Why would you want to put notifications on a document, Jim? Do you have any idea why would you want to put notifications on it? Sure. What's great is that this is a in the moment, changeable, updatable document that is at any moment can be accessed. So what's great is if you share a specific document with somebody, that you can leave comments on it. You can get notified if this person actually did open up your document and read your documents. It's able to let you know and track who is entering your documents, looking at your documents, things like that.
And what's really neat about it, if I'm working for an agency, and I'm working with a client, we'll call her Sally, and I want to share my note with my agency, then I can share it with other members of the agency, and it'll send them a link to their email, so they can pull it up and see what kind of work we've done with Sally. Exactly. If we're having trouble, we can actually share the same document with two people. I can change a word or a sentence, and the second person looking at the document can actually see those corrections immediately, or within a second or two.
Live updates, correct, Jim?
It's really fantastic. Mm-hmm.
It's really good as a caregiver that's documenting and caring for somebody, because we want to keep that written backup and documentation, and we can create different folders, and we're going to get into that in a moment. But can you see the screen? Because I want everybody to be able to see just how many options you have. And I know Microsoft Word has some great options too, and you can upload a Microsoft document into this and we'll change it for you into the Google. It's not a sheet, I apologize. The Google Doc. You can download into Word documents. You can download it into PDFs. You can download it into a web page. You can turn these into other things that you might need that might not pertain to a writable document. We also have different tools that you can utilize, as speak to text. It's as easy as hitting tools, voice typing, a little box pops up.
Well, look at that.
You could change the language. I have it in English right now, but you can change the language to, if your first language isn't English and you need to speak in your first language, you can change that language on here.
I know a lot of our providers in South Florida have a lot of Spanish speaking clients and also workers that do utilize this for that direction, and it's great. I really like the FND website because you have also resources available in different languages, which is really neat.
We do. And on our website, we also have sound banks, and we also have social stories. So depending on those we're serving, especially those that have significant sensory needs sometimes, or DHH, somebody that is not completely deaf that might have some hearing needs. Sometimes we need to access different things before we go out into the community. I know for my son still as a young adult, he struggles with certain sounds when we're out and about that can really sometimes trigger some behaviors. So if I know we're going to go in, there's still sounds that we're still working through, Jim, that we're not able to overcome yet. And we still utilize the sound bank to this day is what I'm getting to.
Gotcha. So in order to do a talk to text, you find the microphone under tools, is that right?
Yes, we do. So it's great because it's very similar to Microsoft Word, if that's what somebody's used to. You have your file, you have your edits, you have your views, your formats to format your document the way you want. For somebody like me and you in our positions for taking notes, it's really good because you can start off with your date, put in the information. It lets you know if there's any spell checks that needs to be done. It gives you your punctuation. It kind of puts it all in format for you.
Great. Now, how is if I do a document on Sally that I'm working with and I share it with my boss through email, I guess you would share the link through email. How secure is that?
So we have different options, which is amazing. What I would first do is on the left top corner, you have a box that said untilted document initially. And that's where I go in to put a name to this document. So for instance, today would be, for myself, I would put 9/1/22, Sally, Sally says, okay, Sally says document. So right now, that's the name of this document. I want to take this document and send this over to Miss Sherry. So I would go in here to share up at the top right. Right now, it's only private to me, and it shows that when I hover over it. And can you see that, Jim?
Yes.
Okay. I would go ahead and share. I'm going to move everybody's little boxes out of the way. I apologize, so I can see the box. And a box pops up. Okay. And it lets me either type in an email to somebody directly that I want to share it to, or it gives me access to copy the link and share it. But right here, it gives me general access and it shows a locked sign with the word restricted. Currently, only I can, and only people with the link can open it. But you can change that setting. And that setting could be only persons in my organization. You go ahead and view, or anybody with the link can go ahead and view. So anybody with the link would then be able to go in. And then what's great is next to that choice of anybody, you then have another choice. You can just allow them to view that document. You can allow them to be a commenter, as I shared. You can comment on documents, and then you can get notifications on those comments. So feedback from somebody, perhaps maybe your superior giving you feedback on a report you're submitting. They can put that on there. Or editor, somebody that is going to be fully involved with you in that document, inputting, making changes, and somebody that you're going to want to make that trackable, make that person trackable in that document. As I shared, it's live, it's updated, you're able to see who accesses it, who makes changes. So you have all of those options, Jim.
Which is good. The editor position is really good for people like me who, one of my disabilities is I don't know English, right? Sentence structure, where do you put a punctuation?
I struggle myself, sir. Yes.
I really like people who can edit.
And that's what I love about this. And you also have, and as a person who technology doesn't come easy to myself, I was schooled in the 70s. I didn't have computer school and classes when I went to high school. We still had, typing. So it was introduced to me through work. So I learned through specific programs at specific positions and jobs I had. So what I suggest to people is play around, go in, open things.
Don't be afraid to click.
Don't be afraid to explore. Exactly. That's how we learn. So I noticed first thing right here, top here, there's a settings button. Open that settings button. See what's in there. Okay, you know what? I don't go back out. It gives me a back button. No worries. All right, so I'm done with this. I went ahead and chose what settings I would like, and I would be done with that. Okay. So now I'm go back to the document. If I can get this document to be small again, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I really love the technology Google's came out
Yeah.
and offered us. I was a little leery at first, but the more I've used it over the years, the more I've really come to rely on it and like it. Mm.
As I shared, what I love about it is if you download Google Drive onto your cell phone, you can go into, whether you have iPhones or Android phones, you can either go into your iStore. I'm not sure. I have a Droid. I have an Android. So I went into my my Samsung phones app store and I
Right.
downloaded for free Google Drive, because what I love is if I'm typing, if I'm handwriting notes, if I'm with a person and I'm handwriting notes, what I'm going to do is I want to go back to Google so you can see how to access
Okay.
the drive. Okay. Because now we did this document, we sent it to this person. All right. So how do we, what do we do with these documents? All right, Misty, you showed me how to make a document, but what do I do with it after I send it? Where do I find it? Well, you can either go back into that waffle when you log in, go into documents, and it'll show you your recent documents. Okay. You could either do it that way. Or what I do, I save on my toolbar on the top of my web browser, I save starred Google Drive, things in that. So I'm able to click and access it quickly. But we're not doing that right now. I'm going to show you the waffle again. We're going to go back to the main screen and look at that waffle in the right-hand corner. And I already went into my app store and downloaded apps in here that I wanted. You starting off won't have them. You're going to go directly in and it'll say more from Google Workplace or Google Private Space. So it'll have a box in here for you who don't have these apps yet to click in to go ahead and access apps.
Another thing I really like about Google is the calendar. So if you're working with your desktop computer, you're working with your cell phone, you're working with other things, you can share and access the Google Calendar for any upcoming meetings or any type of things you want to document
and I love
or record on a specific date.
They have reminders, so you can put ticklers on to send you notification and reminders. A person like myself, again, I struggle with time management, and that's, I know, is undiagnosed dyscalculia, as my son's been diagnosed with. So add the ADHD to that, and I'm not gonna, as I shared, I'm approaching that age, so memory is a struggle too. Sometimes on top of fog brain. But I wanted to just click in there really quick so people can see that they can go in and there's ways to search, time management, voice text. If you have an idea of where you're struggling, type it into the search area if you need to up here. If not, just browse, see what's in there that might help you with the struggles that you're having, whether it's that time management, documents, translating, photos, whatever that looks like. This is where you'd find them. All right. So I already went in and I have my Google Drive. And this is what I utilize. I started using Google Drive when my boys were in school, and I was introduced to it during a virtual IEP binder. That's when I was introduced to it initially. And then we brought that into using it as Google all the time through our organization. Jim, as you shared, you worked with us. This is where we put all our information so we statewide can share and work together as a team.
Now, if you, how would you create a folder in this direction?
That's exactly what we're going to do. So I'm going to ask those watching from home right now to imagine nothing in here right now. You're going into blank. You're not seeing all these little things that I have going on. So initially you would pop up to your first Google Drive. You downloaded it, you're opening it up, and you're going to bring it up initially. You'll see some tabs on the side, going down on the side. I want to show you over here on the right panel, you have access to your calendar. You'll have access to Keep. That's a great extension to keep documents in that you want to house maybe passwords in. It's a nice little safe spot to keep private things in.
Great.
Tasks that you need to assign yourself or others, you can do that on the right panel.
Like a to-do list.
Exactly. And it's great because and you can go get more. Any of those little ticklers, I call them, those reminders that we need to help us stay on top of things. Again, Docusign, if you're an agency, if you're a person that needs to have documents signed by people, you can download Docusign. The list goes on. It really goes on.
And it's growing every day, I'm sure.
It really, really is. But here, if we wanted, what I would suggest is starting right off the bat is we're going to want to organize our information, of course. So what I suggest is creating folders. You know, we do have some access down here, My Drive, shared folders, starred, recent, and those are things that we use once we start moving forward. But initially, first thing we want to do is create a new folder. And there's a lovely, on the left-hand side, a nice big plus sign. You'll also see that on your cell phone option as well. There'll always be that plus sign on the bottom right corner when you open up your Drive on a mobile app. At least
good deal.
Slide. I'm not sure about iPhone, the placement. If somebody knows that, if they want to put it in the chat area and let us know, that would be great.
Well, I typically I will right click on my mouse to open the same thing, but I'm glad there is a button there.
Yes. You can right click, correct. That was going to be the next one. But for the newbies, I love to show the right button because sometimes I know right click, left click, sometimes that gets confusing. So the plus, you know, you can always hit that plus and you can always either start a new folder. You can do a file upload, which means say if you got an email and you saved a document to your desktop or you saved an image, you can upload it directly from here up into your Drive. You can start a new Google Documents, this would be Microsoft Spreadsheet, Excel, Sheets, PowerPoint, Google Slide, Google Forms, which I love Google Forms for those people that need to maybe make a trackable document, people that are maybe collecting data for like behaviors or something like that, because it's trackable real life moment updating time.
I use Google Forms a lot for our surveys.
I do that too.
And then as people answer the surveys, it gives you statistics and things like that where you can see their answers.
I love that. And I'll be sharing after this with you, Jim, and with everybody that registered today, a link to a form of an evaluation as I shared earlier. So you'll see what a form looks like then. And what's great is, as Jim says, is that you as the professional can go ahead and close out that form and collect that data, and it can put it into a sheet for you if you want, and then use that form again to collect new data. So you don't have to make a whole new form every time, which is really great. Yeah, it's really great. Then you see this more button, Jim, and it opens up your Google Maps, more Google Sites, Notepad with speech. If you need a note-taking device added onto your computer.
Cool.
Okay. So
that's certainly going to help a lot of people right there.
All right. So I'm going to start a new folder. Okay. And we're going to do this with Sally, right?
Sure.
Sally says that was our new folder. So it's going to bring me to automatically when you create a new folder, it brings you to your own Drive. It says My Drive up here. There's Sally's Drive. Okay.
And it actually alphabetized it too.
It does. Nice. It puts it in order for you. And you have adding people, getting links, trash can, more options. This is where I say play around. Click it open. See what's in there.
Also, if you create a folder specifically for Sally, and maybe you're uploading documents or notes to Sally's folder, then you can share that specifically just that folder with your boss or with another coworker, and it protects the confidential information. And because you can control who has access to Sally Says folder.
Exactly.
Which is wonderful.
So I opened Sally's folder. So this is where I would say that, you know, you have one family or one individual case that you're working with. You make that main folder, that name, and then inside of there, you make your subfolders. And you can either right click, as you see, as Jim had shared earlier, you can start a new folder in here and have that as communication folder. And this is where you're going to put that communication, all those documents that you're going to share with other people. You can start a private folder, whatever that looks like. You organize the way that you work best.
Gotcha. So now how am I going to tell Google I want to share communication folders with my boss, for example?
Exactly. So we want to share, we go ahead and we're going to go ahead and either open up that folder, or you can just right click on the folder And
Nice.
you can go through here, and I have to move this share screen thing that I have over here. I apologize, it's in the way. I'm going to right click, and I can either download it. I can view details, which will show me who looked at it, what time, what did they do, who didn't look at it, who didn't do what they were asked to do, whatever. You can put color. I love to do color code for my own organization, different colors. You can rename that folder. You can star it, so it'll be saved on your left-hand panel. If you see that starred section, you can put specific starred folders there that you access all the time. You can move a folder. You can start off at one place, an open case. Maybe now you're going to move it to your closed case folders. And you have a folder made on your main drive for closed cases. So you'll move the folder to where you want to move it to. And it'll walk you through that process of different options. But then you also can get link for it to share, as we did earlier. Share the communication folder, giving us that options and choices to change the restriction access. We're going to say just FND right now. Okay, anybody at my organization can do all the above. They can organize, add, edit, all of it.
So you're telling Google what you want the people you're sharing it to, what kind of access they have to it,
exactly.
And what they can do with it.
Security is locked down unless right from the bat, it starts off as closed. You have to open it from there to make that accessible to somebody else. It starts off restricted when you first create a folder.
Great.
From there, what I love to do is, if it's a struggle, sometimes I know for myself, processing the information, going back and doing it is a lot. I utilize, my boys utilize, my mother utilizes YouTube and Google a lot. They have a lot of great tutorial videos. So if you're trying to teach this to somebody else, you can go right into to YouTube. You can go and ask it videos on how to create a Google Drive. It'll pop up. You can go into Google, do your speak to text, help creating a Google Drive, help creating a document. So there are those free tools that we don't utilize enough, I think, because it can give us a video or an audio or a visual, whatever type of learner we are.
Right. And also, if you have a new laptop or new desktop and you're not quite familiar with all the tips and techniques, and you can also do the same thing in YouTube by typing in the name of the computer or the tablet, and it'll come up with a lot of different how-to videos.
Oh, yes. Do we have questions in the chat area? Is just conversation going, Jim?
Hold on, pull it up. Debbie says that her iPhone Google Drive app does have the plus, just like her Android does. And yes, YouTube is free to use for anybody. YouTube has become the new TV station, kind of, in a way. So when you get into YouTube, you actually have to search for specific things that you're looking for. And there's a lot of free information.
Definitely.
And that's where we're at.
Okay. So in the Google Drive, you can also find that waffle again that we were talking about. So right from here, you can access any of those other Google extensions that you are going to download, your contacts. So if you have Google on your cell phone, you can access all of that if you log into your desktop. So all of that is cross-stored, which is amazing. So what's great is, say if you're working out in the field, so I cover 16 different counties I work in. So sometimes accessing information in some of my areas is not feasible. Sometimes there's no internet. Sometimes, there isn't. But what's great is that you can download to your desktop ahead of time before you leave, knowing to be able to access that information. A lot of sites don't give that to you. Your Google Drive will ask you, do you want to access when you don't have service? So sorry, Jim, you're gonna ask a question?
I think it's called make available offline.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Correct. But then those that, we are working with that we want to access outside of, say you don't want to, it's files. You don't want to bring everything. You know, you don't want to bring your bag that day, or you're out of state and traveling, and somebody reaches out to you. You know, you're supposed to be on vacation, but hey, things happen. We know that. Somebody reaches out and they need something. Well, that's at home. I'm not home, but you know what? I took a photo of that before I left at home, and I was able to upload it directly into my drive, because when you go and access your Google Drive from your cell phone, you see the plus sign and it allows you to file upload. It'll give you the same access on your cell phone. It'll let you access either your images, any saved documents. And I love the images because I'm a person that loses documents or forgets about documents a lot.
Right.
I take photos and I do a file upload. It goes into my main Google Drive. And then from there, I can move to where I want it to go. I could rename it. I can color code it, but then that can be accessible anywhere in the world if I can get into an internet and access that. And then I can share it and get it for anybody that needs it if it's needed.
Cool. Yeah, I think Google's going to take over the world one day.
You know, even my shopping list. I have a bad habit of making my shopping list and going without I text myself my shopping list now. Another great tool that I utilize, they're called other brands, but the one I've been shown initially was called Rocketbook. Okay. It is a reusable notebook. What that means is that they give you a special pen and a lined notebook. They have day planners. They have all different sizes, all different kinds. And it comes with a little scannable QR code on the bottom of each page. So once you're done taking your notes for that individual or for yourself, you take your cell phone, you open up your camera imaging, because that's how we access QR codes. If you're not sure about QR codes, most updated phones these days, all you have to do is open up your photo, your image to take a photo, put your photo like you're going to take a picture of it over the QR code on that page, and it'll directly bring up to a website, or you can bring it, have it scanned to your drive like I do. That's what I did when I set up my account when I got it. It asks you, where do you want to save it? I saved it to my drive. So I take a photo of that document, goes right into my drive, and then I can erase it and reuse it.
That's fantastic. Wow. But it just takes practice. I think we need to.
It does. Ask the questions. Go to Google. Because if I can't find it, I ask Google. That's going to point us to a direction of either a video on YouTube, or Google itself will have its own extension.
And sometimes when I search for things in Google, it will come up with lots of different things. And then I have to specifically, at the top, typically it'll say, do you want to specifically search images for that or videos for that? But sometimes you have to tell it, hey, I'm looking for a video, for example, on an instruction on how to use my new cell phone or my new tablet.
Exactly. And the waffle, you can access your Google account, your Gmail, the one that you created initially to start this process. You can also get your calendar, which is great, because your calendar can connect to your Google Calendar on your cell phone. So you can get all those updates. You can get your notifications. It's great for our scheduling. I'm not sure about you, but I know for myself, you know, sometimes I have challenges in overbooking. I've done that in the past. But you could also incorporate other calendars. Say if you have, I use Outlook at my employer. That's what we typically use, Jim. Remember Outlook? But I attach my Outlook to my Google. So then my employment one is connected to my outside. So there are all these little extensions we can do. And when we download these extensions, they typically give us a little brief walkthrough tutorial of images when we go through that. So do that tutorial. Somebody like me would typically just yes, and just start. Take the moment. Let that walk you through and show you those important pieces, because they'll highlight them for you when you go to first use that first app that first time. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, and Google's gotten really good at that, offering the tutorials and things. They've really made it user-friendly.
I also wanted to share, and I unplugged it before we started this, but I utilize at home. My mother uses it. My boys use it. Myself, we use Alexa a lot. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. Alexa is an amazing tool to utilize for reminders. I have families that utilize it to help for homework. We do it for communication. I have a mother-daughter. My mother lives on one side and we're separated. So during the day, unless she can call me, and sometimes navigating her cell phone sometimes it's challenging for her to get me on a device. So she can talk to me through the house on the Alexa. I could put, send little help things to her. We connected her through a senior citizens app through Alexa as well. So if I'm not home and she needs help, it automatically connects her to 911 in our emergency in our area, which is amazing. Yeah. I have some links that I'm going to share. These are extra links that I'm going to share with everybody afterwards. Some more little tips and tricks that I think that might really be able to help.
Okay, great.
I also want to see, does anybody have any questions for us? Please raise your hand if you want to show your face and join in the conversation, or, have a specific question on a specific need. I'm more than happy to talk about that right now.
We're coming down to about the last 10 minutes if we're going to do an hour today. So,
and if we want to, we can, Jim, I apologize. We can go ahead and take off the record if we want to not have your questions recorded. If you don't feel comfortable with that, I totally understand with that. But
is there any other type of technology out there, do you think that, can you think of that might help to kind of sum things up?
Let me bring up my great little sticky notes that I had here that I did bring in. So I'm going to, FAST. That's what I wanted to bring up. That's the other one we were talking about, Jim. So if we have not heard of the Florida Alliance of Assistive Technology, they serve the entire state from low tech to high tech. I brought up the website in the back, Jim. I'm going to share my screen right now. Okay.
Okay.
I also, if you're a professional, if you're not working and connected with your local Center for Independent Livings, I know we utilize them a lot for our seniors and for our persons with disabilities, for maybe home accommodations that need to be made, bathroom modifications, ramp modifications, things like that might be needed. I know my local one in Pinellas, we can either get one built in, or they have one that is a temporary ramp for my mom that we're getting. It's a temporary metal ramp because we rent. So I can't have somebody come in and build on a rental. So we're utilizing them. Fast ages served, and from birth to death, they serve. So what's great is throughout the state, they have walk-ins. You can go in and you can check out some technology. They have some grants that are available, some scholarships that are available. They work inside the Florida Department of Education as a discretionary project, but we as persons with disabilities and persons that serve can access them to help. I've also gotten my son a free computer through them. They help with technology as well. They partner with Family Cafe, Jim, and they're able to provide technology for families and for persons. My son is a man, and he didn't have a desktop computer, so they provided us a whole desktop, Windows, the whole nine, for free.
Got to love that website too. It's very colorful.
So they have regional service centers. What's great is a person or a family can go in and they can check out what they have at that regional center. They all look different, but we can take home and try them out. Typically it's 30 days for technology. And again, communication devices, it could be low tech, high tech, it could be mobile with assistive technology to transport persons in wheelchairs. So, I mean, the list goes on. They're connected to national providers. So connecting to them at the state level can help with those extended searches of more specific needs, but more those regional centers that you need somebody, maybe a communication device to help with speech or something. Sometimes our kids aren't introduced to anything in the school system. So now as adults, they struggle with communication, maybe introducing them and working with them. They give trainings on it. You can bring them home and try them. As they say, they don't come knocking on your door in 30 days, but they want it back eventually. Am I sharing the screen? Is it showing?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, FAST does have a great, they call it a lending library. So
Yep.
they'll actually lend you a device for about 30 days. So you can try it out. A lot of the communication devices, I know that sometimes it takes a script or a recommendation from a speech therapist or what have you. But FAST allows you to actually try out the device and see, if it's really going to work for you or not. Great statewide resource.
Look at this: computer, daily living, environmental, mobility, seating, positioning, vehicle modifications, recreation. The list goes on. This was through the lending library tab that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Then they also have a board, so those professionals that maybe there's a lot. And these are those resources that we don't know about sometimes, or we forget about even.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So Alexa, Google Dot, as I was sharing, that's a great app and tool. I know for my boys, transportation is a struggle. So seeing what your specific area provides as far as transportation goes. I know some areas has what's known as user ride. In my area, and I want to say it was an APD pilot program initially, Jim.
Okay.
We were on the pilot program here in Pinellas. They did not extend it. I know kind of the East Coast, some of the counties over there have it. Advantage Ride, I want to say it's called. So transportation, utilizing that might be help for some of our families. And a lot of times those programs allow the caregiver and the person serving them access that ride service together.
Cool. That's wonderful. Yeah. Let's see, what else do we have? Do we have any other questions out there? Because we're almost at the hour mark.
Go ahead and stop recording. How's that?
Okay.
So then we have